Blinds. Blinds are what get every hand of Texas Hold'em started. Without them, players could just sit around waiting for premium cards and the game would stall. The player directly to the left of the dealer button puts in the small blind, and the next player puts in the big blind. In a 1-2 game, that means $1 for the small blind and $2 for the big blind. These bets go into the pot before anyone even looks at their cards. After each hand, the blinds move clockwise, so everyone takes a turn paying them. Playing from the blinds can be tricky. Since you already have money in the pot, you may feel like defending weaker hands, but that can lead to tough spots because you act early after the flop. Strong players understand the value of the blinds not only as forced bets, but also as opportunities. Stealing blinds from late position is a common tactic, and defending blinds with the right range keeps opponents honest. Knowing how blinds shape the action gives you a clear foundation. Every decision in a hand starts with who posted the blinds and how the table reacts to them. The button. The button is a small marker that rotates clockwise after every hand, indicating who deals and, more importantly, who acts last in each betting round. Being on the button gives you control over the strongest position at the table because you get to see how every other player acts before you make your decision. Acting last after the flop, turn, and river allows you to gather critical information. You might notice a player checking nervously, another making a timid bet, or a strong hand being overplayed. That information lets you decide whether to fold, call, or raise with much greater accuracy than if you acted first. Playing from the button allows open opportunities to play a wider range of hands profitably, apply pressure when others hesitate, and maximize value when your cards are strong. Skilled players monitor the button closely because it affects strategy in every hand. When you're on the button, you hold an advantage that you can use to control the hand, pressure your opponents, and extract more value. Learning to play from the button effectively gives you a real edge over the table. Pre-flop, flop, turn, river. In Texas Hold'em, every hand moves through 4 distinct stages, and understanding each one is essential for making good decisions. The first stage is pre-flop, which starts after you receive your 2 private hole cards but before any community cards appear. During this stage, you decide whether your starting hand is strong enough to play, considering your position at the table. The next stage is the flop, where the dealer places the first 3 community cards face up in the center. The flop is crucial because it reveals connections between your hand and the board, often changing your hand's strength dramatically. After the flop comes the turn, the 4th community card. The turn increases pressure because bets are usually larger and the potential for strong hands grows. Finally, the river is the 5th and last community card. By the river, you know the full board and your decisions are about extracting value or minimizing losses. By understanding each stage, you can evaluate how your hand develops, anticipate and plan your strategy throughout the entire hand. Check, bet, call, raise, fold. During each round of betting, you have 5 possible actions. To check means you pass without betting, provided no one else has bet. To bet means you place chips into the pot to initiate action. To call means you match an existing bet. To raise means you increase the size of the current bet, forcing opponents to commit more if they wish to continue. To fold means you surrender your hand and any claim to the pot. For example, if a player bets 10, another calls, the next folds, and you raise to 30, you have shifted the dynamic of the hand. These actions are simple to define but require judgment to apply correctly. Pot and showdown. The pot is the central focus of every hand in Texas Hold'em. From the moment the blinds hit the table, chips begin to accumulate in the center, and that pile is what you're playing for. Every bet, raise, and call adds to it, and understanding how the pot grows helps you make better decisions. As the hand progresses, you need to consider not just the strength of your cards, but also the size of the pot relative to the risk you take with each move. When the final round of betting ends and at least 2 players remain, the hand moves to showdown. This is the moment when the cards speak for themselves. Each player reveals their hole cards, and the best 5-card hand takes the pot. If 2 or more hands are equally strong, the pot is split evenly. You need to watch the pot throughout the hand, anticipate its growth, and judge whether your actions are worth the chips you commit. The pot is the measure of how well you manage risk, extract value, and apply skill over the course of each hand. Position. Position directly affects every decision you make. Your position is determined by where you sit in relation to the dealer button, and it dictates the order in which you act during each round of betting. Acting early, right after the big blind, is the most challenging because you have to make decisions without seeing what anyone else will do. You are essentially guessing how the rest of the table will act. Middle position gives you a little more information since some players have already acted, but it still requires careful judgment. Late position, especially when you're on the bottom, is the strongest because you get to act after almost everyone else. You can observe how your opponents behave, gauge their strength, and adjust your own strategy accordingly. Experienced players change their hand selection based on position, playing tighter in early spots to avoid unnecessary risk, and wider in late spots to take advantage of information and steal pots. Position allows you to maximize profits, minimize losses, and make more informed decisions throughout every hand. Hand rankings. Poker hands follow a strict hierarchy. At the top is the royal flush, which is ace through 10 of the same suit. Next is the straight flush, which is 5 consecutive suited cards such as 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of clubs. 4 of a kind follows, consisting of 4 cards of identical rank. A full house combines 3 of a kind with a pair. A flush is 5 cards of the same suit in any order. A straight is 5 consecutive cards of any suits. 3 of a kind is 3 cards of the same rank. 2 pair is 2 sets of pairs. 1 pair is a single pair. High card is the weakest, where no stronger combination exists, and the highest individual card determines the winner. Being able to recognize these instantly is a basic requirement for competent play. Outs. Outs are the key to understanding your chances in poker. An out is any card left in the deck that will turn your hand into what you believe will be the winning hand. Think of it as your lifeline. If you hold 2 hearts in your hand and the flop brings 2 more hearts, you now have 4 hearts total. There are 13 hearts in the deck, so 9 hearts remain unseen. Those 9 are your outs to make a flush. Another example is when you hold 8 and 9 while the board shows 10 and jack. Any 7 or queen will complete your straight. That gives you 8 outs. Counting outs quickly and correctly tells you whether continuing in the hand makes sense. Once you know how many outs you have, you can compare that number to the pot odds to see if calling is profitable. At first, the math may feel heavy, but with practice, you'll do it in seconds without even thinking. Good players do not guess whether their hand is worth chasing. They know their outs and they know the odds. That discipline keeps their chips protected and builds their stacks over time. Pot odds and implied odds. Pot odds and implied odds are what keep your decisions sharp at the table. Every time someone bets into you, the first question you should ask is simple. How much am I risking compared to what I can win? If the pot already has $90 in it and your opponent bets 10, the pot is now 100. You only need to call 10. That means for every 10 you put in, you could win 100. Those are 10 to 1 odds. If your hand has a better than 10% chance to improve, the math says you should call. This keeps you from throwing money at hopeless pots. Implied odds take the same idea further. You're not just looking at the pot as it stands. You're asking how much more you might win if you hit your card. Maybe you're chasing a flush and your opponent has a big hand that will not fold. If the heart comes, you're likely to win more chips than what is already in the middle. That extra value makes some calls worth it. Tilt. Tilt is every poker player's hidden opponent, and it's about your state of mind. Tilt happens when frustration or anger creeps in and takes control of your decisions. A bad beat, where you lose despite playing the hand correctly, can spark it. A cold run of cards or an opponent constantly pushing you around can fuel it. Once tilt sets in, logic fades. You start chasing hands you should fold, bluffing in spots that make no sense, and shoving chips into pots just to prove a point. The problem is not only the money lost in those moments, but also the fact that tilt blinds you to the bigger picture. Poker is a long game, and discipline wins over time. The best players recognize the signs early. A rush of heat, impatience, or reckless thoughts. When that happens, the right move is to slow down, take a break, or end the session entirely. Controlling tilt is central to long-term success. Anyone can play well when the cards are falling their way. Mastery comes when you stay calm and sharp even in the face of losses. Bankroll. Bankroll refers to the money you allocate exclusively for playing poker. Proper bankroll management is necessary because variance ensures that even skilled players will lose hands and sessions. Playing at stakes that are too high relative to your bankroll risks going broke quickly. For instance, with $2,000 in your bankroll, entering $1,000 buy-in games is unsustainable. The recommended approach is to play at levels where you can withstand swings without jeopardizing your ability to continue. Respecting your bankroll ensures you remain in the game long enough for skill to overcome short-term luck. Nuts and drawing dead. The nuts are the strongest possible hand at any point in a Texas Hold'em hand. When you hold the nuts, you know no other combination can beat you. For example, if the board shows 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace of spades, the royal flush in spades is the nuts. Holding it gives you complete confidence to bet, raise, or even trap your opponent because your hand cannot be beaten. On the other end of the spectrum is drawing dead. This occurs when no card left in the deck can give you a winning hand. Using the same board example, if you hold 2 pair, nothing you can draw will beat a royal flush, leaving you drawing dead. Recognizing when you have the nuts or are drawing dead is essential to making smart decisions. It prevents you from overcommitting chips in hopeless situations and ensures that you capitalize fully when you have the strongest hand. If you like this video, then subscribe to this channel for more exciting content.